This is Samsung's SGH-U900, a device better known as the Soul. It's the last of the original Ultra series of handsets from Samsung, and it's a very nice design. It's thin, not as thin as some of the phones we've seen on the market, but quite thin nonetheless. Very solidly built, has a lot of use of metal on the sides and the back, the front. Shutter buttons, dual stage shutter button for the camera. So you press it down for autofocus. Camera is exposed when you slide open the device. The slider mechanism itself has a pretty decent spring in it. It snaps open and closed quite easily, but stays in place. Covered ports for headset USB power, as well as a micro SD slot down here in the bottom. Physically, it's a really great design. As you can see on the front, though, the gloss does seem to pick up a bit of fingerprints, but the rest of the phone, the black surfaces in the back and the metal surfaces stay pretty much fingerprint free, which is nice for a change. The main menu on the Soul is a traditional 3x4 grid of icons. You can see the touchpad controller animates a bit when buttons are pressed. And when there are only certain options, you notice we're in the settings menu and only up and down are valid, so you don't see left and right. But it gets better than that. When we move up into, say, the image viewer, we'll pull up a picture I took of a cactus earlier today. You can see that the touchpad reconfigures, and it shows left and right for moving from one photo to the next, but also shows the landscape versus portrait mode, so you can view it. And again, the touchpad reconfigures, so as you can move to the next image. Or simply go back to the normal portrait mode. The same thing holds true for when we're using an application like the camera. In this case, you can see that on the left here, it's the macro control. So I can easily turn the macro mode on and off, or control the flash, change exposure, and then once you hit the exposure thing, you use the arrow keys to move back and forth and change it and set it. Self timer. And again, when you're in the menu, which comes across the top, only buttons that are allowed show up. So you can see there's only left and right here, where there's left, right, up, and down here. It's fairly intuitive. The only thing I don't like so much about the camera application actually is that a lot of the settings are in a separate screen, which aren't as easily accessible. But here you can see settings for the digital anti-shake, Samsung's wide dynamic range setting. You can change or turn off the shutter sound, that kind of stuff. Overall, the camera application and the quality of the photos is quite good, especially for a feature phone like this. Things like the dialing fonts can be set by the theme, but they can also be overridden by the user. A couple of themes come in the device, but one of the more interesting things is that there's a pretty sophisticated theme editor. Allows people to create their own themes. The three themes across the top here are the standard themes that come with the phone. These themes down here are ones I've created myself. You can see, black icons except for the one that's currently selected. Different colors, different outlines. You can change how things look when they're selected in a menu. There's a lot of flexibility. A little complicated when you use the more advanced one, but allows you to do pretty much anything you would want to do. I've just selected the new theme for the phone. Gives it a more metallic look. It's kind of more fitting with the exterior of the device. As you can see here on the standby screen, icons are also used to show the different shortcuts. Right here I have a shortcut defined for the settings. And then also show you that you can reconfigure the touch panel itself in terms of what colors it uses. Right now it's a yellow. You can change it to greens, blues, change the saturation of the color. Pretty dark blue there. And you can also change the swirling effect color. Change that to yellow, so now we've got yellow swirl on the blue. And that color change remains now that we've saved it. And what were previously yellow icons are now blue icons. The keypad on the sole is also quite nice. It's a bit razor-like, it's a metal panel. Backlight comes through quite nicely. It's readable in both daylight and at night. There's ridges here to guide the fingers, and each key has very solid click, pretty good tactile feedback for a keypad like this. Overall, it's quite impressive. The soft keys and the call control keys also are metal. They have a fair amount of tactile feedback as well. So there you have it, Samsung's U900 Soul. One of the nicest feature phones I've come across in quite some time. It's on sale now in Europe. It's tri-band GSM and 2100 MHz UMTS, so we're not going to see this stateside, at least not in this particular configuration. We can hope that Samsung will build a US variant sometime in the future, though.